Here's the booking at $1,999. We're doing each year, starting with Royal Rumble. In Royal Rumble, there will be 3 championships with the Royal Rumble match. Lee Brennan defends his title against Brian Little for the Intercontinental Championship. Jason J. Brown defends his title against the Prodigy for the European Championship. The champion, the man with the red shirt, versus Britney Spears in a white quick match for the WWF Championship. Here are the results. Well, both Lee Brennan and Jason J. Brown has respectfully retained their respective championships, except for the man with the red shirt, as Britney Spears becomes the new WWF champion, as Matt Martin wins the Royal Rumble, with a few punishments help from the new WWE champion Britney Spears.
Next stop, it's special episode of St. Valentine's Day Massacre, in your house. Here, we saw Grant Mitchell versus Ian H. Watkins for the Hardcore Championship, Lee Brennan versus Billy Piper for the Intercontinental Championship, with Brian Little as the special guest referee, and the man with the red shirt versus Britney Spears in an executed match for the WWF Championship. Here are the results. Ian H. Watkins becomes the new Hardcore Champion after the heel low blows from steps. Billy Piper becomes the new Intercontinental Champion after Brian Little low blows Lee Brennan, and this WWF Championship match ended the no contest. In the night of the main event, Backstreet Boys defeats Max Martin to become the #1 contender for the WWF Championship. The debuting Justin Timberlake wouldn't cost the Backstreet Boys the match. Next stop is WrestleMania 15. The card looks like this. Brian Little defends his Hardcore title against Ian H. Watkins versus Grant Mitchell. Intercontinental Champion Richard Abs-Green defends his title against Kane, Billy Piper, and Lee Brennan. Christian London versus Jason J. Brown for the European Championship, and Britney Spears versus Backstreet Boys for the WWF Championship. Now to the results. Ian H. Watkins once again becomes the Hardcore Champion. Richard Abs-Green retains the Intercontinental Championship. Christian London retains the European Championship after the heel turn from Chris Tarrant and Cher. And Backstreet Boys becomes the new WWF Champion. Next up, it's Backlash. Here, we have Ian H. Watkins versus Grant Mitchell in a rematch for the Hardcore Championship. Ernest Miller defends his Intercontinental title against Kane, and Backstreet Boys versus Britney Spears in the rematch for the WWF Championship, as Christian London is a special guest referee. Here are the results. Grant Mitchell becomes the new Hardcore Champion, Ernest Miller retains his Intercontinental Championship, and Backstreet Boys is managed to retain their WWE Championship after Max Martin punches Christian London in the face, therefore Max Martin turning babyface, as well as Britney Spears. Next up, it's Over the Edge. There are 2 championship matches on the card. First, Grant Mitchell versus Ian H. Watkins for the Hardcore Championship, as well as Backstreet Boys versus Mario for the WWF Championship, with Max Martin and Christian London as a special guest referees. Here are the results. Grant Mitchell retained his Hardcore Champion, except from the Backstreet Boys, as Mario uses the heel Skinny Jeans to win the WWF Championship. Next stop, it's King of the Ring. There is only one championship match, and that is Mario defending his WWF Championship against Britney Spears. Mario retained by using his heel Grapefruits. Also, Brian Little wins the King of the Ring with help from Chris Tarrant and Cher.
Next, it's Fully Loaded. Here, we have Triple H versus Dennis Paul for the Intercontinental Championship, Spider versus Elliot for the European Championship, Grant Mitchell versus Jimmy McDonald for the Hardcore Championship, and the WWF Championship, a match between the Backstreet Boys and Mario in a die-real match, as Matt Martin as a special guest referee. Here are the results. Dennis Pod, Alia, and Jimmy McDonald all win the respective champions, but the Backstreet Boys is managed to defeat Mario to retain their WWF Championship by using poop on it. Next stop at SummerSlam. There will be a unification match as Elliott defending his European and Intercontinental title against Dennis Pop. Hardcore champion Jimmy McDonald defending his hardcore title against Grant Mitchell. And Backstreet Boys versus Chris Hart versus the man with the red shirt for the WWF Championship. As Regis Philbin as a special guest referee. Here are the results. Dennis Pop becomes the new European and Intercontinental Champion. However, Elliott is about to hit Dennis Pop with back and forth, but Ice Cube turns heel by hitting Elliott with the guitar, allowing Dennis Pop to win 2 champs. As a note, Dennis Pop will republish the European Championship and gave the championship to Ice Cube. Grant Mitchell wins back the Hardcore Championship, and the man with the red shirt becomes the new WWF Champion. However, after SummerSlam and Raw, Chris Hart becomes the new WWF Champion with the help from Christian Lunding. Next stop it's Unforgiven. Here, as for the Revenged, Ice Cube will be defending his European Championship against Elliott. Dennis Pop versus Cher for the Intercontinental Championship. Grant Mitchell versus Jimmy McDonald in a bridge match for the Hardcore Championship. And the WWF Championship will be vacated, as Backstreet Boys will be there for in a 6-way match. The contestants are Chris Hart, the man with the red shirt, Justin Timberlake, Perry Poole, Tony Curtis, and Britney Spears. Here are the results. Elliott finally wins back the European Championship. Dennis Pop retains the Intercontinental Championship on rent after Cher hits him with the piano. Grant Mitchell retains the Hardcore Championship, and Chris Hart wins the WWF Championship. However, after the match, Backstreet Boys and Chris Hart will begin the feud. Next stop is Rebellion. There are only 2 championship matches on the card. We have Dennis Pop versus Elliott for the Intercontinental Championship, and Chris Hart versus Britney Spears in a prison match for the WWF Championship. All champions are successfully able to defend their respective titles. Next stop is No Mercy. And once again, there are only 2 championships on the card. We have a rematch between Dennis Pop and Cher for the Intercontinental Championship, but it will be in the Great Granny's House match. Also, Chris Hart versus Backstreet Boys in a hardcore match for the WWF Championship. Cher becomes the new Intercontinental Champion after Dennis Pop girls betrayed them in aligning herself with Cher, and Chris Hart retains by using heel wrong answer sound effects. Next stop at Survivor Series. And again, they have 2 championships matches on the card. Cher versus Kurt Angle for the Intercontinental Championship, and Chris Hart versus Britney Spears versus the Backstreet Boys for the WWF Championship, as Max Martin is a special guest referee. Cher retains the Intercontinental title, but Chris Hart does not. The Backstreet Boys has been injured by the car. The replacement will none other than Justin Timberlake becomes the new WWF Champion. Max Martin throws Chris Hart the match, and sets up the match at Armageddon. And last, it's Armageddon. But before I go over the card, the Backstreet Boys will be out of action until late 2000. Here are the cards. Perry Poole versus Elliott versus Billy Piper for the European Championship. Cher versus Kurt Angle in a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship. And Justin Timberlake defending his WWF Championship against the #1 contender, Jimmy McDonald. Here are the results. Billy Piper becomes the new European Champion. Kurt Angle becomes the new Intercontinental Championship. And Justin Timberlake retains the WWF Championship.